Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. What was intended to be a pleasant interaction from one professional boxer to another, a compliment, ending in not so nice fashion. About 7 days ago, Claressa Shields won the Undisputed Championship at heavyweight, and Amanda Serrano extended her congratulations, in spite of Claressa's attitude towards her. Amanda Serrano says, "Congratulations, Claressa Shields," to which Claressa responded, "This is a little dry, boo, but thanks."
Dry?
And people took notice. It's the only reason I'm talking about it. Another chapter in the same book from Claressa, as far as I'm concerned.
More and more people are becoming aware.
A Twitter user that goes by the name They Know King said, "This shit is ridiculous. The exact reason people don't like her. Amanda can't give her a simple congratulations. She has to send balloons and a Hallmark card along with it. Shaking my head. Describe the situation adequately. Is Claressa now trying to dictate how Amanda Serrano gives her a compliment? Just saying congratulations is not enough?
No, it's too dry.
I guess Claressa was expecting that Amanda Serrano should write an entire wiki about her amateur exploits and her biopic and what she's done in the pros. Simply stating congratulations was not enough for Claressa!
Annoying.
Insufferable. Listen, you can win every single belt anywhere in between 168 and 200 pounds. You can do that, and it won't change that you're a social pariah.
That nobody likes you. Virtually nobody.
I understand in this digital environment, you may get a couple of pseudo-Shields fans. And I say pseudo-fans because where are these people when it counts? Where are they?
Number of empty seats I saw, curtained off sections.
During the Danielle Perkins fight, as both fighters made their ring walks, it may seem online like Claressa's got this entire horde of fans that support her in whatever she does. They just don't show up in the numbers. They don't seem to show up to her fights.
Whatever.
They want to argue with me and you whenever we point out what it is about her that we don't like.
Whatever.
It's stuff like this. It's her attitude.
No, but she had a tough childhood.
Yeah, her and every other boxer with 2 hands, 2 feet, and a gum shield. What do you think? That people that decide to go into this profession, this line of work, grew up with a silver spoon? Boxing is a poor man's sport in more ways than one.
A harsh upbringing?
Is that supposed to be the reason that she's insufferable because of her harsh upbringing? There's nothing so unique and nothing so specific about her upbringing that you can't say about somebody else. I mean, most boxers had harsh upbringings and came from poverty.
She came from Flint, Michigan.
It's rough out there.
But Amanda Serrano came from Bushwick, Brooklyn. That ain't exactly Beverly Hills, you know.
The point is, the vast majority of pugilists come from poverty and a harsh upbringing. That's really no excuse to be a social bore, a social pariah, the way that she is. Not just with the boxing community at large, but with her own contemporaries. You ask yourself, how could a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and a 3-time undisputed champion not be more popular, not be more widely revered and accepted? This is how.
It's that goddamn attitude.
And you can have it. Don't adjust it for me or anybody else. Be yourself. Be exactly who you are.
I ain't telling nobody what to do. I'm just saying that free will and freedom of speech works both ways. You're free to say and do whatever you like, and so is everybody else.
So when you behave the way you do, people don't have to like you for it, irrespective of how many titles you picked up in those barren divisions.
You and nobody else is owed adulation, irrespective of what you do. Your accomplishments are offset by your negativity. your attitude.
So when you see that one of Clarissa's contemporaries can't so much as give her a compliment without Claressa snapping at her,
You don't have to wonder why she's not making more money, why she doesn't have more fans, why she's not popular, in spite of all of her accomplishments.
you don't have to wonder. That's why. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, veteran content creator Boxing Ego stated, #unpopular opinion. Boxing is full of inconsistent bums. You have media and fans who rate Inoue higher pound for pound than Terence Crawford. Mind you, the words pound for pound.
What about it?
But then if you mention Inoue moving up in weight to fight Tank, they say that's blasphemous and you just want Inoue to lose.
That's not what they say. They say it's ridiculous and Tank should fight somebody at his own weight.
But somehow these same individuals have a desire to see Terence Crawford move up to 168 to face Canelo and label it a mega fight.
Didn't you guys used to have that same desire to see Errol Spence fight Canelo? You got amnesia or something? You used to make videos about that all the time, and he didn't have no fights at 160. He didn't have no fights at 168.
Boxing Ego is one of the bigger channels in the YTBC and one of the older channels in the YTBC. How he sustains such a massive audience, I'll never know, because when he talks about inconsistent bums, he's got to be talking about himself.
He's the only one being inconsistent.
You bring up these fighters like Naoya Inoue or Terence Crawford, these four-division, undisputed champions. That's what they are, and that's what Tank isn't.
It's not that people are overprotective of Inoue. It's that you're overprotective of Gervonta Davis.
You must be if you're advocating that a super bantamweight who's literally at his fourth weight should move up 2-3 more weight classes to fight Gervonta Davis. What? Gervonta Davis can't find somebody at his own weight to fight? And if he can't, then shouldn't Gervonta move up? Inoue did. That's why he's a 4-weight champion. Terence Crawford did. That's why he's a 4-weight champion.
So is Canelo.
A 4-weight champion, where Gervonta seems to have stopped at 2, just 2, because he's only ever been a full champion at 2 weights.
That baby belt he won from Mario Barrios doesn't count.
Since when did we start counting secondary titles as full titles? That's like saying Kubrat Pulev's heavyweight champion of the world.
When did we start doing that?
When Gervonta Davis started targeting secondary titles almost exclusively. He sat on one for 5 years in the lightweight division, and he picked up another at super lightweight.
Secondary titles?
Yes, secondary, meaning it's a lesser version of a title that somebody already has. At lightweight, that somebody was Vasyl Lomachenko.
He was full WBA champion.
At super lightweight, that somebody was Josh Taylor. He was undisputed champion. And you didn't challenge them for theirs. No, you settled on secondary titles and sat on one long enough that eventually you were elevated to full champion. But that took about 5 years.
Fine.
Title had changed hands from Vasyl Lomachenko to Teofimo Lopez to George Kambosos over to Devin Haney, who eventually moved up in weight, and when he did, you got elevated to full WBA champion.
Because you didn't challenge him for his. You didn't win it from him.
So that, if we are now at a point where Gervonta Davis or his fans are looking at a super bantamweight as a potential opponent option, a guy so many divisions south of where Gervonta Davis is now, why doesn't Gervonta just move up? Everybody else did.
Literally.
Teofimo did, Devin did, Ryan did, Isaac did, Isaac Cruz,
Rayo Valenzuela.
even Rolly. Rolly moved up.
Why can't Gervonta?
Boxing Ego's attempt to highlight double standards within the boxing sphere seems to apply to him more than the people he's talking about.
You brought up Terence Crawford moving up for Canelo.
But nobody asked Terence Crawford to do that. Nobody pressured him into it the way you guys are trying to pressure a super bantamweight to move up to lightweight. Why are you still talking about this? Even Gervonta Davis himself dismissed that idea. It's just you bozos keeping it alive.
Because you're overprotective of Gervonta Davis.
You think you're highlighting double standards within the boxing sphere, but all you're doing is exposing your own. And that's why Boxing Ego preemptively blocks other content creators on his social media as to not have these biased and linear views challenged in the open view.
I've never even interacted with the man and he blocked me.
Because he already knows what I'm going to say. He knows what a lot of content creators, a lot of real boxing fans are going to say, the people that he caters to, that massive audience.
Those are not real boxing fans.
It's a huge number, I know. A lot of subscribers and very good viewing figures for his videos, but those individuals don't actually represent the boxing community at large.
Then who are they?
These are hybrid love and hip-hop fans that have a fleeting interest in the sport of boxing whenever they see a familiar face, someone they might identify with.
But how are they not boxing fans?
Because they don't spend any money. They don't spend any money on boxing. I'd wager they don't spend any money on Gervonta Davis's fights. They steal it all.
They're not customers, and they don't like anybody else. They don't like Matchroom, they don't like Queensberry, they don't like Top Rank or Golden Boy.
They probably don't know who Ben Shalom or Boxer is. You can forget about world boxing. They don't watch that stuff.
They are not boxing fans.
A nuance of the digital era, there is a method, there is a way to capitalize off of these hapless individuals, useless to the boxing sphere.
But useful to the content creator that panders to them, because you can still turn over a profit online from the viewing figures. They themselves don't actually contribute anything to boxing.
And it is boxing that boxing ego is at odds with, because nobody in boxing actually expects Inoue to move up from 122 all the way up to 135. For Christ's sake, Gervonta's been at 135 longer than he's been at 122. Why are you rushing him?
Inoue moved up to super bantamweight in, what was it, 2023? Gervonta's been at lightweight since 2019.
It's 5 going on 6 years Gervonta's been in that division. What is he waiting for?
What are you?
Waiting for us to start marveling over Gervonta Davis's braids and his leg tattoos the way that you do?
His purses?
We may be watching the same sport from time to time, but we're watching it for very different reasons, and that is very obvious. What you're at odds with is that the boxing community at large does not share the same opinion about Gervonta Davis as you do. That's what you're complaining about.
They're not going to.
Till something significant changes in the way that he does business and how they match him, he may as well hold to his word and retire this year, because there's no place for a Gervonta Davis in today's boxing landscape.
Though if he does, who are you gonna make videos about?
Your opinion on Canelo versus William Scull? That just got official.
I don't know what's going to happen, but William Scull is not nobody. He's nobody in the sport of boxing.
It's for an IBF belt.
Yes, it's the IBF champion, but you know William Scull? I don't know William Scull.
Veteran fighter turned analyst Juan Manuel Marquez claims he doesn't even know who William Scull is, which is rich because he actually interviewed him when he became world champion.
Muy contento, la verdad que sí.
William, ahora que parece ser que Saúl Canelo Álvarez va a dejar el título vacante porque, pues, de alguna forma, pues eres un rival peligroso, por supuesto, un rival que le puede, no sé, hacer daño, pero bueno.
So, when Canelo drops the IBF title, according to Marquez, it's because William Scull is dangerous and he can harm Canelo. So when that same Canelo decides to fight him for that same belt, oh no, Juan doesn't know who he is.
Now he's a nobody, and he's not dangerous anymore, I guess.
For all of the Latin American boxing fans and Hispanic boxing fans, Spanish speakers who are fully aware that Juan Manuel Marquez has been at this for a very long time.
At what?
Shading Canelo Alvarez, taking shots at Canelo Alvarez. By my count, this has to have been going on for over a decade now. Over 10 years. And maybe that's why Canelo doesn't feel the pressure anymore.
This has been going on for years, to the point I actually saw Mauricio Suleiman's father lecture Juan Manuel Marquez about his jealousy towards Canelo.
Mauricio Suleiman passed away in January of 2014, though not before he called a spade and put Juan in his place. This recent video from ES News, where Juan Manuel Marquez now claims he doesn't even know who William Scull is after he interviewed him, saying that he's a nobody after he's the one who called him dangerous.
He was trying to say Canelo ducked him.
A less informed member of the boxing community, who doesn't speak a lick of Spanish, saw that video and told me that Canelo is starting to lose support from his countrymen. He's starting to lose support in Mexico, based on what he saw Juan Manuel Marquez say, not realizing Marquez has been doing that for years.
He said he needs to fight David Benavidez.
He said every time he sees the reporters talking about Canelo Alvarez now, they're tearing him down. They're trashing him. because he hasn't fought David yet.
This same old conversation.
And these people are seeing the same news that me and you are seeing, that Canelo's going to fight William Scull in May, then Terence Crawford in September, and that's the year. That's it. No David Benavidez.
Like it or lump it.
So if Canelo is the fraud that you guys say he is, and if he is as afraid as you guys say he is, my question to you is, why are you still barking up that same tree? It doesn't look like it's going to happen. At minimum, it's not happening this year.
My opinion on him doesn't change anything, and that's what you're trying to appeal to. What you want me to do is what you're doing, but even if I did, it wouldn't affect any change.
Doesn't change anything. If I sit here every single day crying, peeing, and shitting that Canelo didn't fight David Benavidez, it's not going to change the schedule. It's not going to change what he's doing. So why doesn't David change what he's doing? And why don't you urge him to do that? That if you know Canelo's not going to fight you, at minimum you know it's not happening this year.
You know what I'm gonna say.
Go fight the winner of Better Beef versus Bivol. You can fight them for undisputed. You can make history with them. Whoever wins, you can get a big bag doing it.
Why isn't there more of a focus on that?
You're just wasting your own time. You think that because Juan Manuel Marquez has a few negative things to say about Canelo, he's losing his fans? If that were true, you wouldn't have anybody to argue with. And so many of David Benavidez's fans wouldn't regularly seek me out for conversations like this one, arguments like this one. You know, Jerry Serrano, he regularly calls into the Boxing Voice to complain about me. But I thought Canelo Alvarez is starting to lose support. I thought he's losing his fans.
Then who are you arguing with? What are you complaining about?
The reason it's not working is because we've been all through this before. We went through it with Lara many, many years ago, then again with Golovkin many years later, to the point where it's just more of the same. It's the same people that are never going to be satisfied with anything doing the same thing. Juan Manuel Marquez is no example of anything. He's been called out for his jealousy on more than one occasion.
You're out of the loop.
When Canelo Alvarez didn't fight Gennady Golovkin right away, right after the Cotto fight, it did start to affect his sales. He sold about 900,000 pay-per-views with Miguel Cotto, then only 600,000 with Amir Khan, then less than that with Liam Smith, to where it became obvious you've got to fight this Golovkin guy.
And so he did. Not once, not twice, but thrice.
So that when some Ms. New Booty fighter comes around and starts acting entitled, we've been all through this. We've seen this before.
We're over it.
I am. I would have liked to see Canelo versus Benavidez, but if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. There's nothing I can do about that. There is something that David can do. In the absence of a Canelo Alvarez fight, you have an alternative. You just don't want it. So when you sit there crying and beating the same drum,
And your fans do too.
I don't feel sorry for either of you. I'm not sympathetic.
You're not getting anywhere.
You need to take all that energy you had for the Canelo fight that isn't happening this year and pour it into the Better Beef or Bivol fight, because that one actually can happen.
If you wanted to.
Though maybe the reason you're not is because you don't want it to. You're afraid of what'll happen to David if he does have that fight. But it's the only one available to him.
More than Canelo.